before I'll say it again. You can't trust a forward. Listen to my worst night. Don't just fall in love with my face. I used to be somewhat of a big deal, wheeling and dealing, no bucket in the warm-up, people carrying my bags in. How many times do I have to tell you through text, let's talk about the PK? That is a dirty hit that needs a response. I like a stiff, stout pillow. We'd rather dress nobody than dress you.
The only thing I like better than easy points are free Slurpees.
Goalies embellish all the time. He tumbled over like he was hit by a Zamboni. Am I this good, or are we just winning by 7 goals, and that's why I'm out here? Just say, I know you're right, Struddy. Just get it out. I think I am the modern-day Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah, I get no respect.
And now, Weiss Johnson presents Struddy's World. Here's your host, a guy who coach says will definitely, absolutely, 100% be ready for the playoffs, Jason Strudwick.
How are we doing today, everybody? Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a jam-packed show and a little bit more clarity on Connor's buddy, Leon Draisaitl. Where's Leon Draisaitl at? Well, Stan Bowman, we'll hear from him momentarily about where things are at with Leon Draisaitl. We're all thinking about it. All the fans are concerned about it. We've got a great show planned for you today, including DarrenDreger, RyanRishaug around the corner. Of course, everyone's favorite, Zubie, is here, and I will be bringing you through as well. The show, as always, is brought to you by our good buddies at Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. Weiss Johnson is now offering no interest for 24 months to make your purchase easier. Visit wjjingle.com for exclusive specials just for Got Your Back Jingle lovers. Let's hear it, Zoobs.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Well, we're into it here. We're on the stretch drive. The Oilers had a good game last night, looking ahead to tomorrow night. But man, that news about Leon Draisaitl really rocked the fandom and perhaps some of his teammates. But maybe a little bit more clarity today, Zoobs, on where we're at with the big guy.
Yeah, of course, the GM meeting's going on down in Florida. So I think our pal TSN legend Gino Reda was able to grab Stan's ear for a moment.
Yeah, it's important. I think let's get to it right away here. Let's bring this audio in here just so we can quickly get everyone up. This is courtesy TSN.ca. This is Gino Reda speaking with Oilers GM Stan Bowman, and he's asked them quickly or clearly where things are at his timeline with Leon Draisaitl.
Optimistic. I mean, it's only been a couple days here, but I think we'll have to see how he responds to the treatment. But you know, the timeline they gave was based on their expectation of normal. These injuries normally how long they take to heal, and so I don't have any reason to doubt that.
So he's optimistic for him to get into the playoffs, which I think is really important. That's our digital sponsor, brought to you by Timberhouse Developments, the leader in custom and infill development. If you're tired of cookie cutter, copy and paste designs with no soul, see the team at Timberhouse and discover how naturally inspired living can make your life better. Take all the guesswork out of your infield project and work with experienced leaders. Visit timberhouse.ca. So Zubie, I think this is really important. He's optimistic about being back for the playoffs. Again, it'd be nice if we knew what the injury was, and he can kind of, go through my own experiences. But if it is a knee injury, it may be one of those, I think it's a second degree, I think they call it, where it's kind of 4 to 6 weeks. So he's at the front end of that timeline. If that's what it is, I don't know if it is. But when he says that he's optimistic about it, I feel that's probably where we're looking at. And I think that's important because the Oilers, their job now is to get themselves in a good position for the playoffs and play well. So when they get the big guy back, he's healthy, and maybe even somewhat importantly, Zoobs, he's rested and ready to rock for game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah, of course, he had a good long stint over there at the Olympics, plus all the travel and whatnot. I can't help but wonder, Struddy, there's people who are really all over Knobloch for the way in general that he kind of talks about injuries. I feel like they're just really cautious the way they speak about them, but I'm still surprised that there wouldn't be, you can say we hope to have it. Like I'm still not sure why they can't say we certainly hope to have him for game 1 of the playoffs, but time will tell. They already implied that that's in doubt with the way they answered it. So I don't know. I guess it's nitpicking on people's words. This is very important to Oiler fans. He's, one of the 2 or 3 best players in the world, and the team is top heavy and has been so reliant. And I think people picture this year's incarnation of this team being even more reliant on these 2 guys. So it's incredibly important for Oiler Nation, but I think we're getting a little bit lost in the weeds here.
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I've got your get off the fence that is going to be related to what you just talked about, being so reliant on the top 2 guys. And I think you're going to want to hear this, everyone. So stick around for that. Lots to break down. The Oilers win last night, played a really good game. I thought there's 15 minutes in the second where they got away from their game, but they found it again in the third. Definitely had it in the first. Got 2 big points, pushed San Jose down, got themselves away from San Jose, and they've got the Florida Panthers tomorrow, which is always emotional when you consider what Florida's stolen from this team 2 years in a row. Let's do this. So let's get up to speed, though, I guess, Zubes. We'll bring in Ryan Rishaug, and Up to Speed is brought to you by McDonald's. NHL Star Sticks are back at McDonald's. Start your collection. Get one of 7 mini Star Sticks with every NHL Star Sticks meal, featuring hot shots like McDavid, Matthews, Hughes, Makar, Celebrini, Reinhardt, and Montembeault. Shoot for the whole set while they last. For limited time, only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada. And they're very cool things. There he is, Ryan Rishaug. Oh, looking stylish. Look at this old dog. I like your look today, buddy.
Yeah, like the thicker. I don't know what they call these. I got it for Christmas.
Oh,
Someone else
looks
bought
good.
it for me.
Sugar, I think that's
buy
right
this.
there. That's called a shacket.
Yeah.
And I like it. I love it. I love a shacket.
I'm into it.
Well, got
Looking
your back.
really sharp. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
You're
buddy.
repping.
Thanks. I
I
cleaned
love
up
it.
well.
Fantastic. So the news that we're kind of updated, Leon Draisaitl expected to be back, Stan Bowman, the GM, is optimistic he'll be back for the playoffs. This has kind of changed, evolved. It was only 2 games ago in the first period when Leon got hurt, and now here we are 6 periods later. We find out yesterday that he's not going to be ready for the rest of the regular season, but optimistic he starts game 1 of the playoffs. Shaga, your thoughts?
Well, and I think when we left the rink last night, Struds, we were a little bit unsure based on what Chris Knobloch had said post-game. We were sort of feeling like, oh boy, what did that mean? Because he wouldn't really, I asked if can he confirm that Leon would be ready for any playoffs, and he kind of hedged his bets a little bit. So Stan, I think, cleaned that up a little bit this morning, which I think is good, because there would have been a lot of questions. I would have had to ask Chris about that nonstop for the next couple of weeks, so I'm glad that got cleaned up a bit. So last night it was a little more uncertain. Today it's like, okay, team just has to dial in. They're going to make the playoffs here, barring some sort of major disaster. Leon comes back rested, probably ready to go. And, I don't think Oiler fan needs to be as stressed out this morning as maybe they were at times yesterday.
So if you want to hear that interview, Stan Bowman, Gene Loretta, you go to tsn.ca. It's there. You can find it on the first page. Great stuff. And
it's Sir Gino Retta. Struds. It's Sir Gino Retta. Get that right.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Sir Gino, I apologize for missing that.
Yeah.
So now we know that he is gone. I thought Stan made some interesting points. He's like, everyone knows now where it's at, and he's an injured player. And that's what he is. No matter how great he is, he's injured. So the team has to move forward without him for this defined set of time, we hope, again, before the playoffs. I can't help but think that it's so important that number 22, Matt Savoie, has started to surge a bit points-wise and getting an opportunity with Connor before this, because, man, does it ever free up Nuge to play on another line. So it's funny how sometimes timing with development is so huge, especially when you consider injuries to number 29.
Yeah, and I think, we don't want to push it too far, but we'll give a little bit of credit here because I think management understood where Savoie was at in his development, that if they just stuck with him and just continued to give him consistent minutes this year and just, excuse me, that at worst case scenario, they'd probably have a pretty usable third line player. And best case scenario, maybe he could moonlight in the top 6 or even the top line, right? And so they were patient with him all year. And now that patience is really paying off. I can't believe how much we're watching this player's confidence grow game in, game out. And I know Brownie and I got into a good argument last night about Savoie having a quiet night last night or not. I just don't view it that way at all. I think McDavid had a bit of a quieter night offensively, and I think the line will look a little quieter as a result of that. But if you just isolate Matt Savoie, last night's another step for me. because his puck touches were excellent. His grinding in the corners and trying to turn over pucks was excellent. His play on the wall in his own end were excellent. The details in his game and the confidence in his touches, Struds, it's going up almost game to game. You can see it. And I view last night as another step forward as well.
There was you brought this up about the way he's delivering the puck to Connor McDavid, and there was 2 times last night where someone gave him an absolute grenade, and he calmed the puck down and put it right on Connor as Connor was flying by. And great players love that. They don't want to be given a turd burger when they get the puck. They want to get it. And there was one right in the middle of the ice. It hit kind of Savoie in the tummy, grabbed it, laid it down, boom, tapped it to him, and Connor was gone. And that is going to make a big friend for him in number 97. That's how great players want it. They want the puck when they're hitting their stride, and he seems to understand that. And he does it really well. And you made that comment to me, it's probably 2 games ago, maybe 3 games ago, and I can't stop seeing it now. I can't unsee it.
Well, and those are the subtle little things, the confidence in the touches. So when McDavid's on the ice, right, they'll play defense, and they'll when they get the puck back, that's when you have to make moments count. You can't take any possession for granted. And what we've seen over the years is they audition different players. Though the quality of those puck touches is not high enough to keep McDavid's shifts meaningful enough if his line mates can't get the puck to him efficiently. If there's bobbles, even simple things, and this is where I think Savoie is excellent. Even little soft area dumps, Struds, where you get it on the wall in the offensive zone and you're under pressure. What do? Do you force it around the boards to where their winger is just sitting there to pick it up? Or do you have the wherewithal to dump it to a space where it's still going to be a contested puck? It all boils down to the puck dying on your stick or not. It comes down to a positive play, a neutral play, or a negative play on these puck touches. And what's happened with Matt Savoie is his touches are now skewing much higher on the positive and neutral side. The negative plays are what kill your time with the big guys. And it's what the big guys hate. They don't mind the neutral plays, those happen. They love the positive plays. It's the negative ones, and if you stack too many of those together, that's when they start looking back at the coach. That's human nature. And Savoie's quality of touches has gone through the roof in the last 3 weeks.
I think it's important to note that Leon likes playing with Podkolzin. There's no doubt about that. And it's clear that Connor likes to play with Hyman and Nuge. But to have another player that can play on that line, because it changes the look so much. Now let's assume Leon was healthy. Having Nugent Hopkins on the third line, it changes everything. It changes that whole third line to something, a whole different level, but it also changes the top line because Savoie is different than Nuge, and not better, just different. So it gives so many different matchup looks. And I think my point of this whole story here is that I think one of Chris Knobloch's, what he's done well in recent playoffs years, is understanding what the line should look like and the fit should look like in any given situation. We've seen him, usually I think it takes 2-3 games to figure it out. But once he gets it figured out, he gets them in the right place. So this is now another option for him when there hasn't been a lot of options beside 97, except 93 and 18, and quite often Leon.
Yeah, my signal okay, Strudge. You just got really overmodulated and stuff. Are you hearing me okay right now?
Yeah, it's coming around. Yeah,
coming around. Okay. Yeah, the value of Nuge on the third line, and not to lose a ton of efficiency on the first line. That's where it counts. Every time you try and move Nuge off that line, there's a certain percentage of efficiency that you lose. Amount of time they have the puck in the offensive zone, amount of opportunities that are generated offensively. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins very sure-handed, and his puck touches are very high quality as well. The fact that you can move Nugent off that line and put that sure-handedness onto a third line, and then we haven't really even talked about Roslovic here, Struds. Yeah. Jack Roslovic has the skill to play on any one of those top 3 lines.
Yeah,
he handles his puck with the head up, with the puck with his head up. He's great on his edges. This guy can make plays and he can shoot. So this combination of Nugent Hopkins and Roslovic on a third line, then whether it's Dickinson, whoever ends up being the other guy on that line, that's such a nice option to have to not lose too much off of the top line.
Yeah. Yeah. No, perfect, buddy. Listen, you're a little bit modulated, so I squeezed every ounce of juice I wanted out of you. So we're good to go. We'll set you free, and have you back tomorrow night when we get going with a post game pod. Oilers, Florida Panthers. Thanks, buddy.
Sounds good, pal. Have a good
There he
one.
goes. Ryan Rishaug. So, Zubie, really interesting points made there by I guess I give myself two claps in a row, but also
Yes.
Rishaug, that he was also present when I was making all these great ideas. But when I look at it, it's felt like so far this year. Now, to be fair, the team wasn't quite playing the way it should, but now it really does feel like there are options, that different looks that you can have, even with Leon out. It does make it harder because he is elite, elite, elite. But it does give you different looks, and I honestly think the linchpin, two of them, Dickinson coming in and then Savoie moving up, like that is a really big deal about that. And Roslovic's a good point as well. I still think Roslovic, I might have him on the power play because he's a natural shooter, more so than Savoie. Savoie's really smart. Can't begrudge him that. But I wonder if another shooter on that power play wouldn't be a bad idea. So lots you heard there. Where do you want to take this, Soups?
I'm happy to see Savoie get the power play time, but I agree, because you never want your power play to be too predictable, right? So if you think you've got three guys, you're getting into three, maybe four guys who might legitimately try to take a shot, that makes it harder for the whole team, but certainly the goalie to guess where it's coming from and to not overcommit to it. Maybe going back to Dickinson, do you feel like he's interesting in that? I do feel it seems like the coach would be willing to put this guy out on any line, in any situation, in any combination.
Yeah, and that's going to be. I don't want to get too far down the road because that's the get off the fence is going to be in a few moments.
Okay,
but I'll just tease and saying,
yes,
I think everyone's trying to get to know what everyone can do, and we'll get to that in about 20 minutes time. I do want to talk about another player I wasn't able to get to, a Shogger, which is Connor Murphy, and Connor Murphy's impact on this team. Watching him last night beside Darnell Nurse, he is in some ways like a better version of Cody Ceci. If that makes sense. I think he's bigger, although Cody's a pretty big guy. Cody was a good Oiler. Like I want to make this clear.
Yep.
I'm not ragging on Cody or Ceci here. That isn't my intention. But I think he brings just another level of maybe defensive chops, blocking shots. He is more physical than Cody Ceci was, for sure. I don't think anyone can dispute that. But watching Darnell play last night, now it's 2 games I've seen him live in a row. I'll be back there tomorrow night for the Florida Panthers, and watching those two live. I've talked a lot about offensive line identities. I wonder if this isn't a defensive pairing starting to get an identity together. We're big. We're not very kind. We're good defensively. We're physical. There's a moment last night where Darnell went out of his way to run Kiefer Sherwood, who's a known hitter. And then they kind of re-engaged and he knocked him down on the ice. That's when Darnell's at his best, when he is being that I'm the toughest guy on the ice and I'm the best D-man on the ice attitude. When he brings that, and if Murphy just continues what he's doing, boy, that top 4 now looks quite pleasant, because there's a lot of talk about putting Murphy alongside what's his name?
Well, he played with didn't he
Wallman,
play with
Jake
Wallman
Wallman.
the first?
Yeah. And I don't think that's, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think this is better for the Oilers, because that becomes a pairing, a pretty big and not pretty big, a very big pairing.
Yeah, and I think that's where, when they first acquired Murphy, the common reasoning was that people thought, oh, here's a defensive shutdown guy to go with Nurse, and for whatever reason they didn't do it right away, and now we're seeing it, and it looks good. Do you think this sort of the steadiness in Murphy's game is is that freeing? Is it liberating in some ways for Darnell Nurse to play his game a certain way?
I like the way you phrase that. Is it liberating to know exactly what your partner is going to do? And this is no disrespect to Ty Emerson or anything, but or Stashny. This is a very confident and secure player who knows exactly what he's all about. in Connor Murphy. And so for Darnell, I think it's quite actually calming, because he knows what he's going to get beside him, right? Every shift, he knows what he's getting beside him. And I think that maybe is letting him settle into his game and be the best version of himself. So, in a nutshell, if you're looking in the last short little while here, Savoie elevating his play. You got Trent Frederick, who I'm a big advocate for, elevating his play in let's just talk since the Olympic break.
Sure.
I think we're seeing Darnell getting more comfortable in his play. So that's elevating. I think Wallman elevating his play.
He's been better.
Goaltending has gone very quiet. The conversation around that has gone very quiet as of late. So Ingram, I don't know if he's elevating his play, but I think he's calming that area around the net. So there's obviously losing Leon's not ideal, but there's a lot of things that I think are happening with this team, perhaps at the right time of year, that I'm really looking forward to see what happens moving forward.
And on Ingram, just one thought on Ingram, the way he smothers pucks, and especially on shots that come through, even with traffic, he's just really got a knack for it. He's like a Hoover in there, sucking them up and freezing pucks. And I just think, I think that as a goalie, you just want to be like, there's going to be tire fires, but I don't want to be the one who caused it. And that's just a bad rebound. Like I'm sure you can appreciate as a defender. Yeah. You play a certain way. I got my guy. I'm giving you the lane. He's got his guy. Boo. And then when a rebound goes to where it shouldn't, then all that's out the window in that moment. Yeah. And so I think that's been one of the strongest points. And again, that's of Ingram's game, and that synergistic thing with the defense, a point shot coming through and the D having confidence. It's going to get, if he sees it, it's going to get smothered. Not only is he going to save it, there's not going to be a tire fire.
Yeah, so all I have to do is turn and box my guy out or tie up his stick. So that's a really good point. Okay, let's take a quick pause here in the show. When we come back, DarrenDreger, some call him Daryl Dragon, he'll join us. He was at the GM meetings. Lots of things to talk about, including reducing the age requirement to play in the AHL. Is this really a good idea? We'll find out next with DarrenDreger from TSN.
At Modern Measure, every item of clothing starts from scratch and is designed from the ground up based on both your style preferences and current fashion trends. Their clothing is fully designed to give you the exact look you're looking for, down to the smallest details and customization. The Modern team will work with you to make sure that you not only look and feel great, but make the most of your investment. On the ground floor of Edmonton Tower downtown, Modern Measure.
Getting the breakfast you love for just $5 plus tax every day? That's not just value. That's McValue. Get $5 McValue breakfast meals every day.
Dennis here from Weiss Johnson. Are you looking to get into the trades or have a kid graduating high school wondering what to do? Weiss Johnson is looking for career-minded people to work for us. Opportunities truly are endless. Become a service technician, gas fitter, refrigeration technician, install residential or commercial heating and plumbing systems, fireplace installations or service, duct cleaning. We are the company where you can learn all aspects of the trade and pick which career path to take. We have an awesome benefits package and offer school reimbursement too. Visit wjcareers.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. The quick update from Stan Bowman this morning. Leon Draisaitl, he's optimistic we'll be back for the playoffs. So that's good news for Oilers fans everywhere. It's now time to bring in Struddy's Buddy, brought to you by HSC Core Services. Need a safety program? They build it. Need it managed? They'll do it. Stuck dealing with those online safety registries your clients make you sign up for? Yep, they handle those too. And yes, they also do core audits. Visit www.hsccore.com. That's HSECOR.com for more info. And there he is. Dreg's busy first of the week here. Are you home, buddy, or are you still down south in the sun?
Yeah, no, I'm still in West Palm, Florida, and I'm not complaining at all. I mean, there's been another snowstorm that's gone through the greater Toronto area, but to be frank, the weather here has been awful the last few days, and I'm looking out the window. Now, granted, I'm still looking at the ocean, but I'm not making light of it. It's not a hurricane, but it looks like a hurricane out there. Like the palm trees are bent sideways. You've got driving, teeming rain, but no, I'm safe indoors, and I'm going to fly out tomorrow morning, so all is well.
Okay, buddy. Well, thanks for joining us. And it
Yeah.
sounds like there's some lively discussions around different areas. So let's start with
Yeah.
the one that's been a hot topic, the Ratko Gudas suspension, and Connor McDavid weighed in on it. We even had
Yeah.
George Peros, the head of the Department Player of Safety, talk about it. What was the general feeling coming out of that with all the GMs together?
Yeah, and add another voice, a very powerful one. Commissioner Gary Bettman talked about
Sure.
Peros and the Department of Player Safety as part of his wrap-up media availability today. And, he said, look, I mean, there are going to be debatable decisions, but the decision that Peros and the Department of Player Safety made in suspending Gudas fits within the range of what that type of hit, that type of play should attract in terms of the number of games of suspension. What's amplified it, thrown gas onto the fire, is, of course, Judd Moldaver, who represents both Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, coming out swinging with a statement last week. Hey, it's his right to defend his client, and he's going to continue to do that. That wasn't a one-off statement. And then McDavid comes out with his opinion and questions whether or not it's time to have a look at the process. The one thing that Bettman and Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly reminded the media today in Florida of was this. The Players Association is an active participant, as you know, Struddy, in the whole process of supplemental discipline, right? And over the years, the NHL and the PA have had several conversations about it and what's the best approach. We know that there's an appeal process that can be included, but Bill Daly said that through their last negotiations, which led to the new collective bargaining agreement, they really didn't spend any time on it at all. It's not an issue. And the PA is supportive of how the Department of Player Safety does its work. So I don't think that's going to take away from Judd Moldaver and other agents from trying to open this up for at least further public discussion. But right now, it looks like it's case closed.
Another area that was discussed was the goalie interference. And, I feel like I finally understand it, but now I'm hearing the GMs aren't sure. So maybe I don't understand what it is. So where was that kind of discussion headed towards?
Yeah, well, I believe it was Eric Tulsky of the Carolina Hurricanes questioned whether or not the criteria or the standard of how goalie interference is being called and reviewed is slipping. And I don't think that was received very well by the commissioner.
Yeah.
Because, look, I mean, where does that motivation come from? Sometimes it comes from your coach, your coaching staff, and often it comes from ownership. And we know that Tom Dundon, the owner of the Carolina Hurricanes, is a very vocal and hands-on owner. The problem with it is, Struddy, and look, I mean, I think we all see the number of clips and plays where things are openly questioned. The challenge is that it's incident by incident, and no two are the same, right? That's why the National Hockey League will always say, look, it's a snowflake, and there are no two snowflakes that are the same. I think what the message was from hockey operations to the GMs, we believe that we are applying the standard through our review process. If you feel differently, all right, well, let's have that conversation. But be mindful of the fact that, we're just trying to make sure that the goaltender is allowed to play his position. And that's debatable because there's also people in that room and say, okay, yeah, I get that. But the goalie is allowed to be touched too. He can be bumped. He can't be taken out, but there can be some contact. As long as he's available and has clearance to make a save, then why should it be goalie interference? So it's going to be debated for years to come, and nothing was solved this week.
Go back to when Brett Hall had his toe in the crease, right? The Stars and Buffalo.
Exactly right, 99. Yeah,
yeah. I remember I was in Vegas gambling. I wasn't in that playoff run. One thing that you guys I heard you guys talk about that really interested me was the option to having now 19-year-old players in the AHL. So I guess what would be the concerns for I guess what would be the upside for the teams and the players? What about the concerns? Any concerns for 19-year-old players living on their own in cities that they're not familiar with?
It's a good question. And in fairness, I never asked that specific question about, these guys being on an island. The concern would be, what is the negative impact on the Canadian Hockey League? Right? The three major junior leagues, because as we know, historically, the 19-year-olds make up a big part of the World Junior team, the World Junior roster. It's a 19-year-old tournament. And that isn't going to change moving forward. You know what, Struddy? if the NCAA rules were the same and hadn't changed, which opened the door for major junior players to flood into Division I hockey, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Absolutely.
NHL general managers would be going, okay, no, we're fine. It's a great development system. A lot of NHL players are developed from CHL leagues, so we'll leave it alone. But that's not what's happening. The 19-year-olds now, after being drafted as 18-year-olds, are going, okay, well, I mean, let's use Gavin McKenna as an example. Now, he's not even 19. He hasn't even been drafted yet. But if he's playing in Medicine Hat, he's probably going to have a 150-point season in the Western Hockey League, right? I mean, just because he's a man versus boys in terms of his skill set. Yet in Division I with Penn State, it's been a struggle for him at times because he's playing against 22, 23-year-olds, right? So I think that the NHL has taken the reins on this, and they're going, okay, wait a minute here. If we're not protecting the CHL and those players aren't going to stay in the CHL and those players want a higher layer of development and they're going to Division I, why shouldn't we have them in our own development system, which is the American Hockey League? So they've got some framework details to iron out, but 19-year-olds, I don't know how many per team. There'll be some restrictions that are applied here, Struddy. They will be allowed to play in the American Hockey League next year. That's going to change.
Yeah, the guy that comes down is just down the street from us here in Calgary, Zane Perek. He's a young guy that to me, probably a good spot for him. Armstrong stepped down as the GM of Team Canada. So where do they go from here? I guess, any candidates jump to mind, and B, are they looking for cycles? Like, is it a 4-year cycle, or they look for commitment, or is it just kind of every 2 years now with the World Cup and the Olympics?
I think the perfect scenario would be that 4-year cycle. So you've got the World Cup in 28 and then the following Olympics. So Scott Salmon, who's essentially the head of Hockey Canada from a competition perspective, is in Florida. They've actually got a hockey summit going on now, not the resort that we're at, but USA Hockey is there, Hockey Canada is there, CHL is there, USHL is there, the NHL is there, and they're talking about a lot of different things. But Salmon took advantage of the GM meetings and took that group out for dinner last night for a debrief, and that included Doug Armstrong and his army of lieutenants who helped manage the Four Nations and then the Olympics. I would think that the candidates who are assistants to Doug Armstrong, so I'm thinking Julian Brisebois, Don Sweeney, Kyle Dubas come to mind. Those guys will get a ton of attention. But Struddy, I think it's important to note that, and I asked Julian Brisebois point blank about this. I think he'd be a terrific candidate. I do. I mean, he's developed winning teams with the Tampa Bay Lightning, continues to do that. He's been a sound voice in the process in working with the Hockey Canada group. But, he goes, it's like having a second and a third job. These guys spend weeks on the road. I mean, you're trying to manage their NHL clubs. And then on top of that, you're fixated and you're focused on putting together the best roster you can for the upcoming World Cup in 28 and then the Olympics in France after that. So no shortage of qualified candidates, but it is going to be interesting to see what approach Hockey Canada takes here.
Yeah, what a job to take on. Incredible. Well, Dregs, enjoy your final evening down there and hope the weather clears up for you.
All right, Struddy. Thank you.
There he is, Darren Dreger. Thanks a lot. TSN, check all his stuff out at tsn.ca. I just want to go back to the 19-year-old thing. Listen, I get it. I do get it. Now, just so people understand, the current setup is this. When you are drafted, you can not go play in the American League till you're 20 if you've played in major junior, right? So that's kind of where it's at. Now, players are what happened was that the CHL and the colleges agreed that they can now have a transfer of players. So, players can go from major junior to college, where that could never happen. You had to choose major junior or college. Now you can do either or both. But there are some players that don't benefit from playing another year of junior for sure as a 19-year-old. Like, there's elite players they shouldn't have to. Now, I'm not talking about Connor McDavid or these elite players. They can move on, but there's some that don't. It's not easy. I don't know that they really need to be there. It doesn't hurt them, but I don't know if it helps them that much. So the idea of, I think it'd be less than one player per team. I really think you're not talking about a ton of 19-year-olds that are going to be flooding the American Hockey League, but that's pretty young. I think about So a couple things, like who's teaching, because you're on your own when you're living with a billet or you're in college, or someone to guide you and kind of look after you, if you will, look after you as far as make sure you're being fed, your laundry, all this stuff. And not that these guys are babies, but and how many 19-year-old boys that are really self-sufficient. So my concern is this: when you set them loose at 19 amongst all these men, and usually teammates are really good. Like when I arrived at 20, I had guys that taught me how to cook a couple different meals. I was all right, but just, hey, this is how you grill in the oven, or this is how you cook rice and stuff. Like, and they helped me. And I could do laundry. My parents helped me. But 19 is a little bit younger. So I'm really interested to see, would they accommodate to have parents move down to live with these guys? Because they're teenagers. At 19, you're still teenagers, right? And you need somewhere to live and someone to live with. It's not like you're making $2 million and you can bring your mom and dad down, right? So I think there's a lot of things on the the personal side of it, Zubie, that has to be sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, then you'd hope that teams would explore, almost some programs, some onboarding. Like, I don't think that would be, or even the league. I mean, I don't think that would be too difficult. And you have like a sponsor on each team or something to help them. It does seem like a very gray area. Like, I think you're right. There seems like it's just this certain player who's doesn't benefit from being in junior anymore, but isn't ready for the NHL. But do you think there would be would those guys be itching to do it? Because, like, what do you think the players would be leaning towards? Oh man, if I could get in the A, I'm closer to the pros, I'm getting paid, I'm living on my own. Do you think that would be more appealing, or like, do you think the appeal would be there, or do you think it's just going to be really situational?
It'd be very individual. Every player is unique. I can tell you that there are some that, yes, like, and this is a while ago, I think of Ryan Getzlaf. He had to play another year of 19-year-old. He didn't need to, right? So if he could have played in the American League, that's really good. But you look at the Oilers prospects, and not to pick up, but like Bo Aki, should he have gone right to the American League at 19? No, he shouldn't have. He's playing junior. Like, that's where he needs to be, or you go and play college. So, we're talking about a handful of players, and maybe I'm making a little bit too much of it, but I think that I've been through professional hockey. I know what it's like. You got to make sure these guys are supported in a lot of different ways, both on and off the ice. And 19 is pretty young, really young, to be moving away and to be on your own. He's not living the billet. You're on your own. So it's worth watching. But again, we're talking about, I don't know if it would be 10 players a year. What a third of the teams, a half to a third of the teams have players that fall under this category. But Perec in Calgary is a really good example.
All of a sudden, you're living in the big city, bright lights of Ontario, California. And,
you're trying to figure out life. Well, just think about like renting an apartment, 19-year-old. Like, it's not easy. Like, I don't want to. They're not babies, but they are teenagers. These are teenagers, and they're not making $3 million like an 18-year-old, 19-year-old is making in the NHL. Right. Okay, before we let's go any further, let's get to playing the field. Brought to you by Modern Measure. Graduation and wedding seasons are officially here, and Modern Measure offers fantastic promotions to not only help make your big day a special one, but also helps your wallet. Design your custom made-to-measure suit and customize it just for you. Visit mdrnmeasure.com. Okay, World Baseball Classic was on, and man, it was great. Great game last night. Tied going deep into the game. Venezuela was able to beat the U.S., which I kind of like, even though it's a bit petty. They beat us in everything. I saw today that the USA swept everything: Paralympic, men's and ladies hockey, and men's and ladies hockey. Yeah. That's pretty good for USA hockey. So I'm glad that they lost this, which they think should have been, they should have won it. But interesting to read some things going on. So when is the next one? I've had people ask me, well, a couple challenges. There's going to probably be a labor stoppage. That means a strike or a lockout, whatever you want to call in MLB. That makes it a real challenge. The second thing is player usage. Teams had input as to when and how often a pitcher could pitch. He can only pitch if the game is tied, or if you're down, or if you're up. He can't pitch back-to-back days and all those types of things. So there's a lot going on around this that I wasn't aware of when I turned casually on my TV and, had my glass of port and watched this some baseball.
Yeah, and I guess that goes hand in hand with them running the tournament during spring training and during preseason because they're, you know, a huge portion of those players are gearing up for Major League Baseball at some level, not necessarily in MLB, but lots of them in the minor league systems as well. So I understand the usage rules. I wonder when we talk about the World Cup of Hockey, which of course, with the recent announcement we've been talking about lately, I kind of like the idea of running this tournament during preseason, even though you have to be careful if they did that with the World Cup, and there was a World Cup once that was in August, right? Something like that, July and August. But I like the idea of, I wonder if they would consider it for hockey. Obviously, there would probably be some usage issues as well. Running the tournament during preseason, and then you don't have to have another, you know, we're going to have now, if it's World Cup and Olympics, one of them every 2 years, then like forget about even talking about condensed schedule. That's just the schedule. That's going to be the schedule now when it's, you know, 2 out of 3, you know, every other year. So I wonder if they'd ever consider that in hockey. I'd like to see that. I think you might engage some guys earlier in the year if you ran a tournament like that in preseason time.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I mean, every other year you're playing, you know, condensed schedule and lots of hockey. And for the top guys, it's going to be tough for sure. You know, let's say you're Matt Schaefer right now, you know, and he plays till 36. That's 18 years. You could have, let's say, 8 of these tournaments, which is awesome, but that's a lot of extra hockey on top of what you want playoff runs in the spring. So I think it's something worth thinking about. But again, this is player driven. This isn't the league asking these players to do it. It's player driven. And I think that's pretty important to note. Next up, the WNBA. I guess it was at 2 a.m. This morning when the two sides, the league officials and the bargaining committee for the players in the WNBA reached an agreement on new CBA. This had been very contentious. You look at what Caitlin Clark's done to the sport, amongst others. I believe it's 30 years the WNBA has been around. And, you know, they've been mixed results as far as player treatment, salaries, all that stuff. So there were some significant gains by the players. Now, these franchise values are going up, so I can kind of understand it. According to Shams Serrani, he says these are 4 details of the agreement that he thought were important. A new salary cap starting at $7 million. The previous one was $1.5 million. Average revenue share of nearly 20% across the deal. Supermax starting at $1.4 million. That's a salary for, you know, the max deal you can get. Then average salary in the range of $600,000, minimum above $300K. So these are massive gains in this sport. Keep in mind they have 2 new teams coming in. Which I think, you know, those franchise values are obviously going up. They have 100 people that are currently free agents they have to kind of sign. So this all has to happen before the season starts. They expect this to be ratified in the next week or 2. But I was excited when I saw this. This is really good for those players that have been in the league. And, you know, think of the ones who have come and gone in the last 20, 30 years and the work they put in to get it to this point now.
Yeah, I'm happy for them. And I think it's obviously, as you mentioned, Caitlin Clark. It feels like lots of this is the Caitlin Clark effect. The league's got a lot more eyes on it, but it's not just that. Now, I think in large part because of her, people are now paying more attention. Fans of sport in general paying attention to the women's March Madness and who the next big star is, because it, you know, all of a sudden they're in the WNBA. You get to keep those stories are always great in March Madness, and now there's the connectivity of them moving on. Now they're in the WNBA. Well, I think it was a huge deal for Caitlin Clark to be there. I wanted to point out a thing that made me laugh about looking about it was the players got their what I saw was around 26% of gross revenue as the revenue sharing, and the league was offering 70% of net revenue, which, if you know anything about like film, like movies and stuff, is you never want net points. You always want gross points, because because profit is a funny thing when it comes to big business, because the profit gets buried. The closer they come to breaking even, there's lots of huge movies over the years that on the books are like a net zero, because that's how they want it to be. So they spend against those revenues to have it come out closer to zero. So good for them for getting, if the revenues are there for the league, they deserve it. The players deserve it. That's still the product.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And, there's been a lot of good work, but Caden Clark, maybe she was the tipping point that pushed this over with the crowd she drew, the jerseys she sold, the attention she brought on top of what was happening before. Speaking of attention, March Madness is upon us. Brackets everywhere. I filled out a bracket yesterday. It's just a disaster. I have so low confidence right now with my brackets that I just put it in. I sent the guy my money. I said, I don't even want to be on the group chat. I'm just crap. So I woke up to a text today from Zubie saying, hey man, let's do another bracket today. I'm like, oh my God. Because last year, I think you destroyed me. Wasn't I last place out of all of our entries, or one of the last ones?
You were low. I might have destroyed you, but I didn't win. I was in a really good spot, I think, after round 2. And then I fell right off. So yeah, we're going to do it again. The Struddy's World March Madness Bracket Challenge. I put the link. It's in the description of the show today. It's in the Discord. We'll put it a few other places. You don't have to worry about losing any money on this one, Struddy. This one's just for bragging rights, but we had a lot of fun doing it last year. Weekly updates, and we'll see. It's fun to see. I'm putting it in the Got Your Back chat, and also telling all those guys it's mandatory this year. I don't care.
I love it.
I don't care if you're not. You have 10 minutes to fill one out. Now it starts. I mean, the first 4. So the 2 play-in games take place today. Those you can pick now, or you can wait. But the tournament starts in earnest tomorrow. So if you're gonna join us, please do. You might get your maybe we can have a prize. Maybe we can get a nice hat or something.
Yeah, I like it
for first place. It doesn't have to be a cash prize. Certainly bragging rights. You get to make your name when you enter, something that we recognize you from the chat or whatever, so we can give you your just props when we're here on the show. But I know I've paid zero attention this year, Struddy. I'll probably read one article. That'll be my research, and let it rip.
I might let my dog do it, because I research all the time. I think I got it figured out. Then I'm just opposite. Gonzaga, they suck me in all the time. God, I hate Gonzaga. For years, I didn't use them. Now I do use them, but we'll see what happens. So that'd be a lot of fun. So everyone will fill it out. I'll fill mine out. Maybe I'll have my dog do it so she can take the credit. And then I'll just look like a loser, like I am in this bracket thing. Okay, let's take a quick pause here, guys. When we come back, get off the fence. And I teased a little bit earlier, but Knobloch and what he's going to learn about some of his players, I think, is absolutely huge with 29 out. We'll get to that next year on the show. Stay with us, everybody.
Beautiful fences exist. With a wide range of styles and colors from wood grain to white, DLR Vinyl products can make your fencing project pop. Because summers are for chilling and grilling, not sanding and drilling. Go vinyl at dlrvinylproducts.ca.
So at Timberhouse, our guiding philosophy is naturally inspired living. We believe that through design, we can solve problems and enhance people's lives. We follow biophilic design principles in all of our builds to incorporate natural materials, natural light, to enhance all the spaces in a home. When you have your space perfectly reflect who you are and what you value, and it's made well, we think that that just leads to better living.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. A great stream today. We appreciate it. Give us a like, give us a subscribe as you're sitting there. Gord Partushki, I can't believe this. He says, how many people can name what team Caitlin Clark plays for? She's Indiana Fever, man. This lady has been doing so much for college basketball, the WNBA, selling places out. It's amazing. She is. I've watched her play live. She's not live, on TV live, not in person.
She's incredible.
She's an amazing, and a real competitor, absolute competitor. Let's get off the fence, everybody. Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. As Alberta's #1 vinyl product supplier, DLR offers top quality materials to build a fence or deck that won't rot, fade, or fall apart. If you need a skilled contractor to take care of the job or prefer a DIY approach, DLR can help set you up with all you need. Canadian owned and operated with locations in Calgary and Edmonton, Visit them today online at products.ca. Boy, sorry guys, I really had a tough one. I was on fire. Then that one fell apart. Well, let's get to it. The guys will appreciate this one.
You can save it with a great take here.
Yes, that's I better. Pressure's on for me to deliver. Leon Draisaitl's out. We know that through the regular season. I think there's a huge opportunity for Chris Knobloch to get to know his new and inexperienced players better and what they can do. Case in point, Matty Savoie. We talked about him earlier with Rishaug. He's moving up the lineup. Can he be trusted in different situations? As far as later in the game, early in the game, high pressure situations, playing against other teams, elite players, something that he hasn't done consistently. He's only been in the league for a short time. Another guy is Dickinson. What can he do? Later in the game yesterday, he had Connor and Hyman out with Dickinson on the wing. He took Savoie's spot for defensive zone. I hadn't seen that much before that time. Now, Dickinson hasn't been here a long time, but I like that. He's starting to figure that out. Connor Murphy, same thing. What can he do? Can he, and your level of trust. So it's not just getting to know what they can do, because if these players deliver, they're building trust for their coach in them. And that is an absolutely huge thing. So these players have to deliver in those moments. So yes, it's not great that that Leon is out, but there's a number of different players that are new to this team, relatively speaking, that need to get a chance and need to be given a chance to show what they can do. I know, case in point, Podkolzin. He has got the complete trust of Chris Knobloch, but it took a while. Bouchard, complete trust. Ekholm, complete trust. These guys have the trust, but they've earned it over a long time. Now is the opportunity for these players to do it. And I think that Chris has to accept it and go for it, because the more trust he develops in these guys, the better it is when Leon comes back and he can pick and choose where and when to play different guys in different situations.
Yeah. So last night, I noted that last night we still had two forwards, Frederick and Max Jones, who played around 7 minutes. Do you think are you okay with that, or would you like to see that come up and level up? It was a 3-minute difference sort of from the next group. With Leon out, would you still like to see more minutes for everybody spread around to kind of foster this, what you're talking about, building trust, or is that enough?
Well, I think Trent Frederick is building from a place where he didn't have any trust. The coach didn't really trust him. Now he's coming up. I think with Max Jones and Trent Frederick as well, I felt like they played way more than that 8 minutes, let's call it. And that's a real compliment. The problem is when you're a player and you're only playing 8 minutes, just think about that. That's 2.5 minutes a period. That is not much at all. There's 20 minutes, so you're barely getting out there. And then when you are out there, it takes a shift to kind of get your legs going. Then you don't play for another 15 minutes. So knowing what they're going through, because I've been through it, I'd like for them to get more ice time. The problem is, who do you take it from? Now, Leon's not there, but who do you take him from to get more minutes? Szymanski was there for a while. Henrique was with them as center for a while. I think that those guys are in a little bit different situations than the guys higher up in the lineup, because I don't know that their minutes are really going to change. I think they can play amazing. It's not like they're going to move up. Well, for sure, Mac Jones, maybe Trent could move up to the third line, but I think they are where they kind of are right now. So yes, you want to have the trust of your coach, but I don't see their minutes increasing dramatically. Where I could see towards the end of the game them getting out for the last minute.
Trizent pointing out that Trent, and I forgot about this, Trent Frederick was dinged up on a shot block and might have missed some of the third. So maybe his number would have come in a little bit higher. Struddy, on Dickinson, do you think they are feeling like they have something there that they can trust him for a really important face-off, even if it's not his line, to say, we're putting him out there. If we get possession, maybe he comes straight off, or do you think he's building something, or they're seeing how useful he can be in that role?
Well, I think they want him to become that guy, because you don't always want to put Leon out there. Think about back in the last few playoff runs, how often Leon had to go out there to take a face-off.
Right.
And I get it. Like, he's one of the best 3 or 4 players in the world. You want that guy out there, but it would be nice to have another guy that could, win face-offs and change when the puck comes out of your zone. That would be a really nice option, and to take that off of Leon's table, because there are times when you need Leon to do that. You're protecting the lead, but there's also times where you don't want him wasting his energy trying to fight someone off in the D zone, and you want him to change and get out there on the offensive side of the puck. So I think that I used that first goal against yesterday, Dickinson. I'm not sure why he carried the puck and tried to throw it backwards. Just chip it forwards. Like, I think maybe he was trying to do too much, and maybe that was a good reminder. I'm sure he got to the bench like, hey, buddy, just keep that puck moving forward. When you're on the third, fourth line, your job is to keep it going forward and just play heavy hockey in the offensive zone, ground and pound, and carry the puck and deep in the zone and make that happen. But yes, I think that I would continue to put Dickinson in situations to figure out. Like, we know he can play defending. We know that, but just do it so he knows you trust him. So you get to trust him, and these things keep happening the right direction. So I'm optimistic that he will be taking that pressure off of Leon when we get to game 1 of the playoffs.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So there you go. We'll see what happens when we shake it all through and take our time. But that was something I'm pretty passionate about. Let's watch. Let's say the next 5 games for Savoie, Dickinson, Murphy, maybe Roslovic even in there, like getting that trust in those final minutes and how that looks. All right, buddy, let's turn our attention to Ask Us Anything now. Zubie and I are here to answer your questions. We got a few here before we got to fire everyone off into the sun and resume our beautiful Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, D. White wants to know thoughts on the new, we'll call it in quotations, maybe second line of Nuge, Dickinson, and Roslovic. Could they become the new third line once Leon comes back? Maybe figuring that if Kapanen and Podkolzin went back to being his winger. So what do you think of that line? Could it just become the third line when Leon's back?
Yeah, so I advocated for a heavy third line. Right, so the heavy third line might have been Kapanen or Podkolzin with Dickinson, or Dickinson with Podkolzin and Trent Frederick. But instead, I didn't get a heavy third line in this situation. I got a heavy second line because it's Podkolzin, Leon, and Kapanen. When Leon's so I still got what I wanted, which is one big, heavy, strong line. What I like about that quasi third line that you're asking me about is that they can all take draws, they can all make plays. And 2 of them are good defensively, awareness-wise, right? Roslovic, I'm not gonna paint him with that brush because that's just not what he does. But you don't need everyone being defensive on the line when 2 guys are there, because he can help create and score some goals or maybe create some more offense. So yes, I like that line. And now you're looking at a fourth line that has Trent Frederick on it, Curtis Lazar, Henrique. Who am I missing here? Zubie there. Oh, Colton Dock. I'm not sure where. I don't even know. I haven't heard an update on where he's at. But Max Jones, I guess he could be in there as well. So now that becomes a pretty hard and heavy line that can get in there and grind away, and a smart guy in the middle with Henrique. So it's funny how things have just kind of fallen into place since Savoie has moved up. And now, does he stay there the rest of the year? I don't know. But for right now, it's working really well, Zubie.
Maybe Max Jones isn't the skill set or the consistency or the defensive presence that they want, but he's the energy I want on a fourth line. Yeah, absolutely. And his challenge, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, is consistency. He's got to bring that same energy he brought last night, whether he gets 2 minutes, 10 minutes, or 12 minutes. Going hard, being physical. Like that play last night, he jumped off the boards, went right to the net, was rewarded a rebound, boom, tap it in. That's really hard to defend when the play goes from the corner to up high. There's a shot, and you got to defend coming out of the corner. Hard play, and he got it. And he started that play and had to drive hard. I mean, it came to him, but he had to drive hard to get to that puck, and he buried it. Asking for the heavy third line and getting the heavy second line is like you asked for the G.I. Joe F-14 Tomcat for Christmas, and you got the Tomahawk helicopter instead. Well, pretty good.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Struddy, the Vancouver Canucks beat down the Florida Panthers last night by a score of 5-2. It was not, I don't think it was even that close. The Panthers are done, according to Money Puck, 0.2% of making the playoffs. Now, they have massive injury problems and have right from preseason in losing Barkov. But is it kind of important for the for the Oilers to take a chunk out of these guys, what's left of them? Because it ain't much. If you look at the roster they're playing right now, it ain't much. Do you feel like there's anything even symbolically for the Oilers to come out and put a beating on these guys?
I mean, this team has been in the finals 3 years in a row, and they battled hard, man. They gave you everything they could over the course of that time, and they were well rewarded with 2 Stanley Cups. This team has been beat down. I think there's always going to be emotion when someone takes twice or 2 times away from you what you wanted. So I think the Oilers will be, excited to come out and play, but this team it's not a good team. Like, it is just not a good team. When I look at this lineup, like the bottom 6, 1 or 2 of those guys was in the fourth line for Florida last year, and that was really it. So yeah, I think this is going to be, I think the Oilers are going to come out and take it to them. But you're always fired up when the team beats you like that. Like, there's going to be emotion, and I think it's important to go and just give them a good thrashing. But you should, because they're just not a good team. Like, any team that loses their number 1 center isn't going to be good. Luckily, the Oilers have 2.
And I don't think Florida's done. I don't think their window's closed. It's small. It's considerably smaller. But if they're back and healthy next year with the guys who are out and Bobrovsky on a new, smaller contract that maybe gives them an opportunity to find one other free agent or something, like it's shrinking, but I don't think the window's closed for this team just because they had the season they've had.
They're not. So just to give you an idea, they're missing Barkov and Sam Reinhart. So those are, that's 2 of their best players.
And Marchand.
Nico Makala. Well, yeah, Brad Marchand. Lisa Reinen has been out. Cold Schwint. I don't think I was losing sleep over that. But I think Seth Jones is just coming back. So yeah, they're really hurting. Imagine if you took out Connor and Leon out of the Oilers, Bouchard, Hyman, you'd really be missing a significant chunk of your team. So they're not a good team. They're tired. You get to 2 points and get the hell out of there.
Okay. 2 more here. This one's from me too. This came out of your discussion with Dregs, and we talked about this a little bit last night. Struddy, is it time for the Department of Player Safety to have, should it be more evenly balanced of the former players we know that are on it, to have, like, how come there's not a Lady Byng trophy winner on the committee? I mean, it's funny to say it that way, but honestly, it's like these kind of gritty guys. Peros was an he was a straight enforcer. Getzlaf, Shanahan, and Pronger with some input. Like, shouldn't there also be that voice of, like, the guy who's like, I hated getting slashed across my hand, like, I don't know. Do you think that voice should be or more clearly represented as well?
Yes, a more diverse panel is what you're saying. Now, I think Ray Whitney is on that panel. Is he not? The little wizard? Or he was.
Maybe. I did a quick search, but I didn't see his name, but
I know he was on that panel. Maybe he's not anymore, but they have Ryan Getzlaf on there. Now, Ryan Getzlaf wasn't a choir boy. He wasn't the friendliest of gentlemen on the ice. But yeah, I think he was there. I hear you. You have to those players have to want to be a part of that and take a look at it. Listen, I get people are frustrated with it. I don't know there's a perfect way of doing it. I really don't. I've heard people say we need a third party join it, like a former Supreme Court judge. Like, okay, well, he is still going to look at what has been traditionally the kind of what's been handed out. Yeah. And so I'm just like, I just don't think it's perfect. I think when everyone's upset, that's okay, because then no one's happy. I think that's okay for it to be that way. So I don't know. I've been around the NHL for a long time, and I don't think anyone's ever been satisfied with the way it's worked out. So, we're talking 30 years here. I don't know if it really adds up.
I remember when Shanahan was doing it, that they released those videos explaining each one, which again, you didn't agree with, but at least you I felt like the thought process was better explained at that period of time.
He did do a good job breaking it down for sure. But yeah, I just don't know I don't know what the answer is. I don't think there's a clear path forward that makes this better, even though everyone seems to want to change it. It's like goalie interference. It's degrees of nicks or knacks in that situation?
I just got get off the fence for next week because I have a goalie interference. I'll just tease it.
Okay.
Goalie interference. Goalies should be protected in the same way quarterbacks are protected in the NFL, which, if you look at the NFL rule book, even takes the responsibility of a player being blocked. It's still their responsibility how they get into the quarterback space. I'll formulate that and I'll bring it back for next week because I do have very strong feelings about that.
I love it. I love it, buddy. Anything else?
Yeah, last one here. This is a good one from JL. He says, Struddy, what piece of sports memorabilia do you treasure the most that you own? Maybe, let's say, do you have something ever that you pursued, an autograph or something? And do you have anything you kept from your own career? So let's go both. Something from your own career that you kept that you treasure.
Yeah. This might surprise you after I did it so many times, but my first goal puck is the one still special. In fact, I'm staring at it right now. The team got it framed and they put my hockey card beside it. So it's pretty awesome. And then as far as, I guess, memorabilia from I have my jerseys from the Spangler Cup. And that's the only time I got to play for Canada. I was never in any World Juniors or anything like that.
That's cool.
And I don't really blame Canada. I wasn't probably a fit. But in Spangler Cup, I was, and I love that. So that'd probably be, and it's unique, right? There are not many people that have played for the Spangler Cup and just dominated their way to a silver medal. All right, guys and girls, thank you for tuning in. It was a great stream, and Zubie and I love doing our show on Wednesdays. It's so much fun. We're back into a regular rhythm after a bit of a personal disruption, but we're back in business. We're back tomorrow night. Panthers, Oilers. I know Oilers fans, you want this to be a 10-1 beating, and you want Trent Frederick to beat the wheels off of Tkachuk. Not sure if that's going to happen, but I'm sure it'll be an entertaining game with always some great storylines coming when these two teams meet.
And just this one's really interesting because the Oilers are in a good spot. They don't have a playoff spot secured. They really need these points, and the Panthers are done. But will they? I don't think it'll be a while. I think that Panther team probably love serving up disappointment to this Oiler team, and there's still a way they can do it. So I think it's going to be an interesting game.
Be nice for Oilers to pick up 2 more points where they take on Tampa this Saturday. So we have post-game coverage of all of them. We'll be back here with Struddy's Worlds next week. Everybody, on behalf of myself and Zubie, Rishaug and DarrenDreger and all your friends here, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all our sponsors. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Post-game Oilers, Panthers. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, that was the end. Let me start it again. I don't know, that track was so short.
That's it.